Well, I'm an idiot.
In that moment, when I opened the camera, I really didn't know what to feel. I was out here in LA for work and only had this one morning to capture some photos. When I sat down on that bench, I really felt like I'd nailed it and taken some images to be proud of. Then I proceeded to flash the entire roll with bright daylight and realized that I'd been on the wrong metering mode for a lot of the day, meaning that many images were underexposed. I've made many mistakes with film before, but this was the first time I felt that I'd ruined an entire project, which I just can't redo. At least that's what I thought until I finally scanned the negatives weeks later and realized that there was some beauty in the imperfection.
So I decided to come down to the beach. Nice in LA, get the sunrise. It's a very cloudy day, but I'll wander around a little bit, see what I can do. I have half a roll of Ektar 100 in the camera right now, so I'm gonna use that first. Then I have a few other options in my bag. It's strange. I mean, it's very picturesque. It's also very LA, there's rubbish bins on the beach. I don't know what my approach will be, if I should just ignore all of that or capture it. Let's see what we find along the way. And I would say, on a day like this, no brainer to go black and white, right? As I was changing over to the Ilford black and white, the man who'd walked past me earlier was returning with someone he had met up with. I quickly snapped a picture and I really like this one. I don't remember if I was trying to focus on him or on the waves, but I think it adds a nice air of mystery being focused on the waves. It seemed kind of silly to be using black and white film to capture this extremely colorful Lifeguard Tower, but I hoped that the tonality and the colors would somehow come through in the black and white. So I just found a nice angle and then waited for a good subject to come through. In this case, a man and his dog with a takeaway coffee. As the morning went on, the beach started to come to life. There was cycling, run clubs, people out skating. This was a Saturday morning, so I really got a sense of the LA fitness culture and how people like to spend their time. They say photography is all about timing, and I feel like this shot really captured a moment of contrast.
I considered removing the rubbish bin in post, but eventually decided it adds to the story. This is the kind of thing that's pretty subjective though.
So I've been looking for a good frame for these lifeguard stands. I haven't really found one, but I think this one here is good. It's nice and clean. I can hide the rubbish bin, and it's just a matter of waiting for the right subject to appear. It would be nice to get a bike, which I see one coming now, so. I like that. Can't really review, so you know, we'll see when we get home. Currently we're on 12. Not sure what this shot is. I know there's something, but maybe it's something. Hard to say.
As we get to this point, about halfway through the roll of film, the effects of the unintentional exposure become more prominent. You start to see the waves of brightness and even the leakage through the sprocket holes. There's also the extra levels of grain from underexposure and taking it through several X-rays. This all builds an image with much more intensity than I'd originally intended. There's a Japanese concept called Wabi-Sabi, which is about the acceptance of transience and imperfection. It's the idea that a defect or abnormality can be beautiful in its originality. A teapot that's been repaired many times, aged and uneven wooden furniture, an old book that's worn from years of use. All these things carry stories and invite us to assign meaning to them. To me, these photos carry some of that imperfect beauty that's hard to quantify. This one is so grainy and damaged that you can barely even make out the water or what it's even a photo of, but for some reason I still kinda like it.
I've never seen LA like this, like the clouds. It's great. I've been here for a week and this is the first day I've even seen a cloud. But I like it because it's interesting.
Eventually, I made it to the iconic Santa Monica Pier. I took a few photos here, but unfortunately several of them didn't make it. It is a shame, but considering the amount of trauma I put this roll of film through, it's something of a miracle that anything even survived.
obviously need to be a little bit careful of being here by myself with my cameras. But I think the side of LA I've hopefully captured is a little different to what you usually see. Everyone out for their Saturday morning run. It's a tricky place to take photos of. I feel like, you know, might have got something that's a little more unique than your average LA beach photo. I've only been out for like almost 3 hours, but I have to go catch my flight, so.
When I first got home from this trip, I wasn't sure if I was even going to make this video. It felt strange sharing something so filled with mistakes. I only started to feel differently when I saw the last surviving frame on this roll. It's nothing special, just a man standing by a railing on the pier. But almost 2 whole frames before it on the roll were blanked, and it somehow survived. Standing alone, washed in grey like a ghost. It's my favorite image of the set, and this is what gave me the drive to try and salvage the rest of the photos. I kept shooting for a little bit after this, but unsurprisingly, the last few frames are just completely blank. It's kind of funny watching these clips back now and wondering how they would have come out. I remember thinking there were some nice textures in the water and the wood that I was curious to see how they'd look. But I guess you'll just have to use your imagination for these ones.
But on a day like this, I love the black and white. I mean, obviously I haven't seen the photos yet, but I'm sure they'll come out great, hopefully. I'll be back in Sydney in 2 weeks and then scan and process everything and we'll see what we got. So I'm back home in Sydney now. I got all my film back from the lab. What I'm hoping is there'll be some lucky accidents that'll work out nicely, that I can be happy with. But, you know, I'm prepared for the worst, that it'll all just be unusable. And that's okay.
In this age of technical perfection, there's no awards for creating perfect images. I'm not saying to go out there waving your film in broad daylight, but making mistakes and trying again is all part of the process. Art is subjective, but all good art tells a story, and imperfections can be a part of that. If you liked the video, please subscribe for more analog adventures.